one of the common threads or feelings or themes in our current time, or at least from my perspective, I'm speaking as a Gen Z, is a lack of excitement or inspiration in life. It seems like everything just is. Everything is just there. Nothing really particularly makes you excited or inspired to do anything further than just drifting along life. And there's nothing particularly special or magical about anything. Everything just seems to have lost its color. I've heard many call this idea or the sentiment in this time, it's a time of disenchantment. Disenchantment. What does that mean? Well, we all know enchanting, the idea of being enchanted. When you think about that word, you think of a fairy tale or a Disney movie where things seemed magical and alive and everything seemed to fit together. They have some sort of a purpose, a story, right? That's the enchantment, enchanting aspect of life. And any hope for that special something, that magical something that will push us in a particular direction, that special something that will make us excited about taking a step in any particular direction, moving forward, a hope for that magical something seems to be an unrealistic hope in this current point in time. And that is a huge, huge shame because it's a big problem. It's a big problem. Why is that a big problem? Because it makes people feel bad. And it makes their life feel boring and stagnant. Nobody's moving forward. And you have so many people not moving forward, and you yourself being one of them. What kind of future do you envision for the world we have today? I don't know if that's going to happen. That's just a conjecture on my part. So let's talk about disenchantment. The enchanting magic, and I say that with a quote-unquote magic that one feels and experiences and sees in childhood. Think back on your childhood when everything seems so new and the mundane things that we consider today were so very, very exciting. Think about the first time maybe you went to the zoo, or you were expecting a trip to the aquarium, or you seen a movie with special effects for the first time, right? That was new, that was exciting. And you would think about being an astronaut in the future, dream about all of these things, right? It felt good. It felt good. And it felt purposeful. And it felt like there was a reason for things. And for lack of a better word, it just felt very enchanting and magical. But that sentiment, or that way of thinking, that way of living as a child, it disappears. It disappears. It disappears after so many disappointments that we experience, so much pain that we experience, things not going our way, things not going the way we expect, and things just going terribly, terribly wrong. After going through so many of those events that go that way, unfortunately, that magic is, it's gone. It's gone. We can't believe in it anymore. So, life experience and reality destroys that fairy tale worldview where everything has seemingly a distinct purpose. Everything. But now everything seems chaotic and arbitrary because things never went our way, right? Or something went awfully, awfully wrong that we expected to go a certain way. And now we can't seem to have any expectations anymore because we sort of know that it just wouldn't go the way we want it to go. And again, that is unfortunate, but it is realistic. There's also the constant distraction, the constant noise pulling us in every direction, the noise coming from mass entertainment and social media. Mass information, right? It splits our attention into a billion different directions and we're spread way too thin. There just seems to be so much to consume and so many things that are just grabbing our attention when maybe sometimes we don't even want it to do that. But that's just the information age we live in today, and that's just the reality of things. And even Christians, I'm speaking as a Christian, and hopefully you have noticed that this is a Christian channel, even Christians are feeling this a lot. And this is strange and frustrating because you think if you're a Christian and you're religious, then you believe in this worldview where things are supposed to be at least enchanting to a certain degree. You believe in a God. He's created this world, and everything he's placed in this world is says to have a distinct purpose. And what we see is not all there is. There's a whole new spiritual realm and things beyond this physical world that we can look forward to, and a story that we can take part in. There's angels and demons, all sorts of magical stuff. This is frustrating. Even as Christians, we feel this. We feel this, again, to use the word, disenchanting world. Maybe the monotonous life that we all live, or maybe painful disappointments in life has dulled us. It has dulled us to so much of what God has prepared for us, what the Lord has to offer us. And maybe deep down inside, or perhaps not in the deepest part of our hearts, but somewhere deep down inside, we find it difficult to believe in those things that we grew up with. The Sunday school stories and the Sunday school lessons about Jesus loves me, this I know, and that God has a wonderful plan for our lives. Harder to believe now after we have experienced this fallen and terrible reality of things. Again, it's a pretty bad reality. So what can we do about it? Is there a remedy? Because this is a very common topic nowadays, right? Everybody's trying to address this. What is coined the meaning crisis that we are experiencing right now in our current age, where meaning seems to be lost, and again, disenchanting. It's a disenchanting world. Is there a remedy to this? I believe so. I believe so. But it's difficult to get because if it's not so difficult to get, then we would have it already. This wouldn't be a problem. But I think we could talk about one of the puzzles that fits into this equation. If it is your childhood that you are looking to get back, or at least the mindset you had as a child, seeing the world as a magical place, unfortunately, I don't think that is recoverable. We're not getting that back. Because number one, it is a faulty view of the world. It's a faulty view of reality. It just simply doesn't work like that. Not everything is wonderful and perfect. Things go wrong. Disappointments happen, and we experience pain. Even though we can't exactly get back that naive and ignorance is bliss, that mindset, even though we can't get that back exactly, we can find ways to re-enchant the world to a certain degree. Here's one of the many pieces of the puzzle, is actually finding beauty in nature. In nature. I think finding that beauty in nature and looking at nature, it acts as a gateway for us to find wonder, for us to reclaim that sense of awe that we had. And maybe even reclaim a little bit of thankfulness in life. A little bit of that adventure. Does that sound good? Because just uttering those words, it makes me feel excited. Because those things, I think we all desperately want. And they make us happy. They make our lives better. So let's talk about beauty. Beauty is something that is increasingly hard to affirm in our modern and skeptical and uncertain age, this time that we live in. But beauty is still a tremendous, very important part in life. Very important part in life because it can act as a certain guide. And it's a guide that pushes us, sort of leads us along, attracts us to things that impart meaning and to things that will help us progress our lives. One of the books that I really enjoyed this past year, and definitely the book that has contributed tremendously to the making of this video, and I think if you have the time you should read it, it is Why God Makes Sense in a World That Doesn't by Gavin Ortlund, who happens to be my favorite Christian YouTuber of all time. And Gavin Ortlund in this book, he focuses a lot on the idea of beauty. And he says this, it says, beauty conveys a sense that there is something richer beneath the surface of our hurried lives, and that it is worth slowing down to consider it. So what does that say? Human existence is not just about survival, even though a lot of it is. It's not just about going along the path of life and sort of moving from one thing to the next. But we also have an opportunity to appreciate and enjoy the passage of time and appreciate the beauty that passes us by when we are going through this journey in life. Things like nature, right? Look at a beautiful sunset. We all know it's beautiful. Things like romance, beautiful thing. Relationship between good friends and family. Parenthood. Parenthood, the relationship between a parent and a child. And stories and narrative that we find compelling. All of these things contribute to what we call beauty. And when one is confronted with something beautiful, it's almost as if, and everybody reacts to this, I think, to a certain degree, and everybody reacts differently to different things. But when we are confronted with something that we consider beautiful, we are almost forced to stop and just enjoy and appreciate. And for me, that would be maybe a beautiful night sky. I'll be riding on my little scooter, getting home, and going home would not just be the only thing on our mind, or on my mind, even though that is the main objective. But when I see a beautiful night sky, I am forced to stop and look up and just enjoy. Just enjoy it. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Yet again, in this age of uncertainty, of relativism, is getting way harder to have a grounding reason for why these things are beautiful and why we stop and consider these things when sometimes it makes not a lot of sense when you just look at a purely biological standpoint. Even so, even when these things are getting harder and harder to, I guess, warrant, it does not stop us from just knowing that there is such thing as beauty, and it doesn't stop us from appreciating it. We just do. It seems like it is a part of us. In the book I quoted earlier, Gavin Ortlund quotes from another book from the Chronicles of Narnia, actually, and it's I forgot which part of, I think it was part 6, the Silver Chair. And then he takes an excerpt from part, and then he takes the words from a character. His name is, here's one thing about me, is like I read words and I never bothered to look up how to pronounce them. So, Puddleglum? Anyways, however you pronounce that character's name, in this circumstance, in the part of the story, Puddleglum is captured by an evil sorceress. And the evil sorceress is trying her very best to make him stop believing in the world that he lives in, right? The world that is Narnia, and for him to stop believing in the magical aspects of Narnia, the good aspects of Narnia, and of course stop believing in Aslan, who is the Christ figure in Narnia. Puddleglum's response, essentially, is, I'll just read you the whole quote. He says, "One word, man, one word. All you've been saying is quite right. I shouldn't wonder. I'm a chap who always likes to know the worst and then put the best face I can on it. So I won't deny any of what you said. But there's one thing more to be said, even so. Suppose we have only dreamed or made up all those things, trees and grass and sun and moon and stars and Aslan himself. Suppose we have, then all I can say is that in that case, the made-up thing seems a good deal more important than the real ones. Suppose this black pit of a kingdom of yours is the only world. Well, it strikes me as a pretty poor one, and that's a funny thing. When you come to think of it, we're just babies making up a game. If you're right. Before babies playing a game can make a play world, which licks your real world hollow. That's why I'm going to stand by the play world. I'm on Aslan's side, even if there isn't any Aslan to read it. I'm going to live as much. I think I misquoted something, but the idea is I'm going to live as much as I could like a Narnian, even if there's no Narnia. So thanking you kindly for our supper. If these two gentlemen and the young lady are ready, we're leaving your court at once and setting out in the dark to spend our lives looking for overland. Not that our lives will be very long, I should think, but that's a small loss if the world's as dull as a pace as you say. So this is a very helpful attitude, I think, for us to be having this in this world, if we want to be happy and joyful and purposeful, is that even living in a world where it's hard to affirm things like goodness and beauty and everything kind of just goes and whatever you want can just goes. This is not a world we all want to live in because I think all of us at the deepest level want to believe that there truly is a good and a beautiful and everything is not just chaotic and random chance. And even if that world doesn't exist, we still really, really want to be in a world that is, good and beautiful. And that desire very well may be a reason that that world exists, but that's a whole other topic. Maybe we can talk about that in another day. But for our purposes today, we are going to focus on beauty in nature. And many, many fellow human beings will affirm this alongside me that seeing the breathtaking beauty in nature can give almost a sort of a, it's not almost, it is a transcendent experience where we get a glimpse of something beyond this physical world. And from a Christian perspective, this experience we get when we are just completely in awe, when we are in a beautiful nature setting, it's a road sign pointing towards the source of ultimate beauty, and that is God. From the from the Westminster Shorter Catechism, it asks this question: what is the chief end of man? And the answer that the Catechism gives is man's chief end is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. Enjoyment of God. In Genesis, when God created the world, as we know today, the creation is called good. God considered it good. And God created human beings in the midst of His creation to have dominion over it. Do you think He had enjoyment in mind as well? I think He did. I think He did. Thus, a part of enjoying God is to enjoy His creation, because I think that's part of the purpose why He created creation, is that He can enjoy it and we can enjoy it alongside Him. And this will be true for this life and the next life. Creation will always be there, be it an old one or a new one. For me, nature and spending time in nature is of a tremendous enjoyment. I'll give you several examples. There's a park nearby where in the city that I live that is sort of out of the way, and it's really beautiful. It's just quiet and it's big. It's got a little pond in the middle, and there's ducks and loons. And then you go there on a sunny day, and then you just sit down, and then you play some classical music, whatever music you're into, and then you just enjoy this atmosphere. I tell you, it's a transcendent experience. It's just that good. Or take another example of when I was on a ferry boat and going through the beautiful, beautiful islands of the West Coast. You stand in front of the ferry and then you just take it all in, right? Before you, it is just the vastness of the ocean, but you also see the islands here and there, and then you're amongst the islands, and there's trees all over you. It's a beautiful shade of green, and there's seagulls flying around, and the sun is setting at the same time. You can only imagine how beautiful that must be. And then I put on my headphones and played Gusty Garden. Shoot, I forgot what it's called, but you know that the Gusty Garden theme from Super Mario Galaxy? Yeah. If you just forget about the Mario part, it's actually a wonderful piece of music. And as the ferry's going forward, you hear the beautiful orchestra playing. You feel like, oh man, this is like being in a nature documentary, but I'm actually in it. And again, that was a beautiful, wonderful, very enjoyable experience. And I don't think anyone, well, maybe not anyone, but I think most human beings would agree with me saying that was very, very enjoyable to be in nature and to appreciate its beauty. And even when the fall happened, where mankind sinned against God and rebelled, and sin entered the world, and the ground was cursed, right? Nature was cursed to a certain degree. Creation remained something to be appreciated, and we will demonstrate that soon. Even if, as Romans would say, creation is groaning, it will be redeemed. And we better not have too low of a view of creation, nature. We should be way more involved, actually, with nature. And the way we see nature maybe is it's not comprehensive enough. And for more in-depth discussion on this idea, you can take a look at Heavenly Participation by Hans Boersma. Again, I know words, but I don't know how to pronounce them. He talks about this quite a bit. It's a tough book, but worth a read. So with that out of the way, let's take a look now at some scriptures, some beautiful Hebrew biblical poetry to get a glimpse and a sense of what nature has to offer for us. And maybe seeing nature as the way God sees them will help us unlock a little piece of that puzzle for us to help us find some purpose and some magical things in life again. So we start off with Psalm 104, and I don't think I'm going to read the whole thing just for the sake of the length of this video, but if you have the chance now, maybe pause the video, go read it, enjoy this poetry, and come back. Psalm 104 is a psalm that, again, talks about creation and appreciates the majesty of the world that the Lord has created. But the many things that I list that we can find in nature, it sort of just talks about it and says that they are good. And it doesn't really bother to explain why they are good, except for the fact that God made them. What does that prove to us is that creation is marvelous and it's self-authenticating, self-evident that creation is just beautiful. We don't really need a good reason for it. Instinctively, we just find it beautiful and beyond beautiful, marvelous and awe-inspiring. Sometimes maybe even fear-inspiring. Of course, it has its own devastating sides, nature. Even if when you look at a beautiful desert, you know how treacherous a terrain that is for a human survival. But even then, even as we see these devastating parts, like a lion eating a baby antelope, we can still look at some of those things with marvel, and see it as beautiful and awe-inspiring. Thus, if we don't really care for nature, and we are Christians, maybe we should. Maybe we should. And if you're a Christian and you haven't taken the time to be in nature, or at least to consider it, ponder it, maybe you're missing out on something. And now we go to another psalm, which is Psalm 8, and this time I will be reading some of it. Got my trusty Bible over here. Psalm chapter 8. Again, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there are some key verses we're going to look at. Psalm 8 says, O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory above the heavens. Nature bears witness to God. We get a glimpse of the very majesty of God himself when we take a look at the beauty nature has to offer. That feeling of awe, of awesomeness, of just that majestic view. That feeling we get is a road sign pointing towards God, and God's glory and majesty is revealed through these wonderful things in nature. In a sense, creation is glorious because his glory, God's glory, encompasses the earth. See Isaiah 6:3. We quite literally get to witness God's glory in some regard when we take a look around us and look at the things that he has made. And I think that's a tremendous, tremendous privilege. So when the world is seemingly filled with evil, with grotesque things, with really, really bad things, unless they nuke every corner of planet Earth, we can still see God's glory amongst all of this suffering, amongst all of this evil. Even if every human being turned into the worst version of themselves, they cannot, again, unless they nuke the entire planet Earth, the entire surface, they cannot hide God's glory as revealed in creation, because creation is just everywhere, everywhere. You can see it looking out your window. And I do wonder, this is just a theory of mine, if this industrializing world where skyscrapers are going up and trees are being cut down and apartment buildings are going up and highways are being built and toxic waste is being dumped into beautiful bodies of water and smoke and smog is covering the beautiful sky. If you've been to Beijing, you understand what I'm saying. I wonder if this is part of the enemy's plan. I'm not sure, but it certainly is stifling a lot of the enjoyment that we get in life, although it also offers us quite a bit of ease and comfort. That's just a side trail. But even then, there's beauty in human connections. Of course, that too is under attack. But my point remains is that if you want to have a look at God's beauty and His glory and His majesty, you don't really need to look too far, because again, His handiwork is all around us. When God's presence in this life feels truly dim, or it might even just feel like it's gone completely, the truth is we still have almost unrestricted access to His glory and evidence of His involvement with the world and His handiwork and His company. You just take a look above, you look at the heavens, which declare the glory of God. You take a look at the earth and look around you, see creation. Again, His glory is revealed in all of those things. In verse 2, it says, "Out of the mouths of babies and infants you have established strength because of your foes, to still the enemy and the avenger." So verse 2 tells us that it is out of the mouths of babies, the babbling of babies that will silence those who oppose God. Babies are a beautiful thing. Anyways, I thought that was just a really, really wonderful way of showing that what silences the opposition is not exactly the thing that we might expect. Verse 3 and 4 says, "When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place. What is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him?" The grandeurs of heaven, when we take a look at it, it gives us a proper view, a proportionate view of us and God. Is that we take a look at the vast expanse that is above our heads. Try not to use too poetic. Is it poetic or just too complicated, technical, too show-offy of language here? But we take a look at the sky. It's huge. It's huge. And it seems like it has no end. And even on a sunny day, on a cloudy day, you take a look above, you just feel so very, very small. So very, very small. And that is only a glimpse of us compared to God. And the psalmist here, when he writes this, he looks at his heavens, he looks at the moon and the stars, and he thinks, man, all of these things are so majestic. And me, compared to this, I'm just a little speck of dirt. But God is still mindful of human beings just like me. What is that all about? What is that all about? So the true proper view of human beings, yes, is that we should feel our smallness, our insignificance, but really, human beings, whether good or evil, he is cared by his creator. He is cared for by God. Right? The psalm says, God is mindful of him and that he cares for him. It is good to balance our views because we know that humanity, yes, is rotten to the core, and that our hearts are a rotten thing. Even then, we are still made in the image of God. That means we partake in His glory because His glorious image is reflected in us, like how the moon reflects the sun. He shares His glory with us, and we get to partake in that just by existing. And whether someone is good or evil, they get to enjoy a beautiful, beautiful sunset. So the most righteous person that ever existed on this world and the most evil person, they both had equal access to God's, what theologians would call common grace. Enjoy a sunset, breathe air, enjoy good food, all of these things. We all get to participate in that. So we have a relationship with God, and we can have fellowship with God through participating in creation. And as the crowning jewel of God's creation, because mankind is the pinnacle of God's creation, because he created man last out of all of the things that he's created, it is strange to think of ourselves as more precious than the beautiful mountains or the beautiful ocean, the beautiful sky, or a beautiful bird. It is strange to think of ourselves as more precious than all of those things. Maybe not for some, but for me, it certainly is. If we can really believe and appreciate this, and to be quite honest with you, I don't know how to do that perfectly just yet. I think that will help a lot of us feel like we are once again living in that special time. That we are indeed special and not just a agent in a chaotic and arbitrary and random world, random existence. We do have some sort of value and a place in this world. And we get to take part in a story called existence. And that is a story. It is not just a random paragraph of mumbo jumbo, but that it has a purpose and it's leading somewhere. And we get to participate in that. And I think if we can truly grasp and understand that, that'll make our lives a lot better. And some reflections from another psalm is Psalm 19. And many of us will be so familiar with it because according to C.S. Lewis, this is perhaps one of the most wonderful and beautifully crafted poetry in existence. Psalm 19. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the sky above proclaims his handiwork. Day to day pours out speech, and night to night reveals knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words whose voice is not heard. Their voice goes out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them he has set a tent for the sun. And then it continues going, but let's talk about verses 1 to 4. The heavens declare the glory of God. Again, creation is a road sign, one that is like one of those signs in Vegas, just it does not escape your attention. A road sign pointing towards ultimate glory. Although glorious in itself, creation points towards the glories of God. It declares, it is like a loudspeaker. Again, unavoidable. In the vastness of space, the skies above, it says, it proclaims his handiwork. So the vastness of space in the sky, again, shows God's glory. Indeed, a beautiful sky that is not obstructed by all those buildings. It is a sight to see. It is awe-inspiring. And sometimes in life, I think we miss out on that. Right now, it's easy to, there's almost a temptation to keep your head low all the time. Number one, because you're staring at something that requires you to keep your head low and looking to a very, very small space. I'm talking about your phone, of course. And even then, I just see that our postures are more and more turning downward. And when we're walking on the street, again, a lot of the times I notice that the attention is focused downwards. But if we take some time to look up, I think that will help with our attitude towards life a lot. When our attention is remain so low, and another example is being stuck in your room all the time, where you have to study, where you're on your computer, maybe gaming, or you're working in an office building where there's no natural sunlight, just get that artificial light. A lot of these examples, our attention stays low. It stays low, and it is level with, I guess, our view of things. We never bother to look up and take a look at what is above. Maybe this is detrimental to us because we are not looking for the purpose that comes from, I don't think it's literally up there, but the idea is there, right? The idea is there is that looking up looking at the greatness and the vastness of the sky, you get a glimpse of the glory of God. I guess living in a city will be really tough. Is again buildings obstructing your view of the sky and feeling like you're a little bit more enclosed, and of course light pollution where we don't get to see the beauty of a night sky, and that's something I think everybody should see. Let's go to a place with no light pollution and just enjoy the beauty of a starlit sky. To look up naturally, number one, just feels better, and to be in an open space, I guess that's not for everybody, but it certainly opens you up, makes you feel more free, and it makes you feel more open. And again, acts as a gateway towards the beyond when you look up. I don't know how it works. It just certainly feels that way. No matter the weather, right? A big patch of sky where there's really nothing blocking you, it's a beautiful thing. Just like the vastness of the ocean, it invokes a sense of awe. It invokes a sense of you got to step back and just appreciate and enjoy. And you realize that again, this feeling is a road sign pointing you, dragging you, attracting you towards the idea of God's glory. In verse 3, it tells us that there is no speech nor are there words whose voice is not heard. So what is that saying? Is that the revelation of nature and the heaven, it transcends language, right? See, Romans 1, where creation is accessible to all, and all can see it and understand. And this is one way that the Lord communicates his attributes to human beings. It is a gift accessible to all, and all can enjoy it at no cost to them. When one looks at creation's beauty, does one long for more? Does one experience something that only comes from above? The idea known as a transcendent experience. Again, you might have noticed before that I do feel these things very, very strongly. And there are certain things that I see and experience that evokes a feeling within me that seems to tug my soul. It tugs my soul towards the direction of something that I just can't find in this physical world, something that is beyond. I feel these things, but I can't speak for you. I can't speak for others. But I really think we all have access to this. And then afterwards, the psalm, it leads to the laws, the law of the Lord, the testimony of the Lord, the precepts of the Lord, commandments, the fear of the Lord, the rules of the Lord. They are more precious than gold. All of these things, so good. You should read this when you get the time. So creation serves as a road sign pointing towards the beyond, pointing towards the spiritual, pointing towards the divine. But we must realize that even though creation is glorious, it is nothing when it is removed from its creator. Creation is not the be-all end-all. It is not the ultimate thing. One day, the creation you see around you will pass away, replaced with a new one, yes. But the idea is that it depends on another thing, and the thing that it depends on is the Creator. The creation will pass away, heaven and earth will pass away, but the Lord's, God's ways, His words, and God will never ever pass away. So let creation be something you enjoy and wonder at, but remember that when you wonder at nature, you are wondering at God. And you are appreciating His attributes, all the beauty that you see, all the wonderful things. You must remember that the source of those things is from God, just as a beautiful piece of art depends on the artist that created it. Maybe that's why Psalm 19 is structured in this manner, where nature is a guide. Maybe a wake-up call, and a gateway for the rest of us to walk through and awaken and seek the Lord, and then finding His ways to grant us true purpose. To end this video off, I want to give you a real-life example of someone who really did, through nature, awaken, and then through the gateway of nature, find a way to live a meaningful life in the Lord. And this man is a brilliant man. He's a brilliant man. But through the most insignificant, or at least one of the most insignificant members of the created world, he found his way to the divine, real purpose. This this story, or this excerpt, is taken from Signals of Transcendence by Os Guinness. It's a wonderful book. You should read it. This is the story of how G.K. Chesterton was awoken to meaning. Beauty is not just found in the cliche beautiful sunset or sunrise or the vastness of the ocean or a baby, romantic love or whatever. Beauty can be found in a simple dandelion flower. G.K. Chesterton, a brilliant man, but in his earlier stages in life, he lived in nihilism. He was a nihilist, and he was a pessimist. When I think of those things, I think it's maybe a difficult thing to be, but I don't know. These things plague the world today, where many would not admit it, but many are going down this path of nihilism and being very pessimistic. And again, that's very hard to go through. That's a very hard way to live life. G.K. Chesterton broke out of those things by looking at a simple dandelion. The beauty of a single flower, a very small and insignificant flower that we don't really take the time to maybe look at. We don't even consider that flower. For Chesterton, it was wonderful. He found wonder in even the most simple existence. The most simple existence you see on planet Earth. And I quote from the book, "What held Chesterton back from a pessimistic view of life," he said later, "was a thin thread of thanks, a sort of mystical minimum of gratitude. Looking at a humble dandelion, he woke up to wonder and became grateful for life. I cannot do my duty as a true modern," he wrote, "by cursing everyone who made me whatever I am." Later on, when he wrote as a profession, he confessed, "I was full of a new and fiery resolution to write against the decadents and the pessimists who ruled the culture of the age." From Signals of Transcendence. For G.K. Chesterton, he felt compelled to be thankful for the existence of a simple dandelion. Even for a flower as humble as the dandelion, the world is a far better place with that than if the world was with nothing. Compare nothing to having a dandelion, right? It's a world of difference. When you truly have nothing but a dandelion to look at, you can look at it. It's beautiful. It's got such intricacy. You can look at each individual petal. You can look at the leaves. They're beautiful. And you zoom in, you can see the cells and everything working so wonderfully together. And then when you see it in the summertime, where the dandelions get blown by the wind and all of the fluff go everywhere, it's a beautiful, beautiful sight to see. And for G.K. Chesterton, I guess he took the time to stop and consider and enjoy a simple dandelion. And through that, he found thankfulness, a small hint of thankfulness, a simple notion of thankfulness, being minimally thankful for the existence of something rather than nothing. So if a simple dandelion can do such wonders, turn to G.K. Chesterton, well, the dandelion didn't do the whole thing, but it set him off on a trail, right? It set him off on a path to make him such a thoughtful and great man. What are we depriving ourselves of if we do not consider creation and take the time to enjoy it? What are we missing out on? This may sound silly to you, but I invite you to give it a chance. Our ability to appreciate something simple has been destroyed. It has been hit by a nuclear bomb of short form content where every 50 seconds or so, we are fed a new piece of content, of entertainment, and the dopamine just drips away. This is a huge loss. We miss out and we lose out on so many valuable things. so many valuable things we could be doing and appreciating and enjoying with our time in exchange for something cheap. Not saying the creators don't work hard on it, but for our soul, for our intellect, it is junk food. It is junk food. We must reclaim our ability to appreciate something that doesn't change every 50 seconds. Go out. If you have the opportunity to, or the accessibility to get somewhere with a good view, somewhere you can just sit down and enjoy a good view of the sky, maybe. Or maybe you just rather see a single tree or a single flower instead of the whole forest. That's fine. Take a look at the intricacies of a tree, a flower, a mushroom, a rock, or an animal, a human that you love. Just take the time to appreciate these things. And it might be hard at the beginning, but you just need to be still. Sit down. And then enjoy it. I don't know if that's going to work for you, but I've tried that recently, and it's refreshing and nourishing to the soul. If you feel the same way, and you feel those feelings that were mentioned in the video today, then I tell you, you are feeling God. Or at least it's the effects of God's handiwork. And that is my take on one of the pieces of the puzzle for us to reclaim meaning, to find enchantment again, and to get on that long and difficult road for us to find meaning and find true enjoyment in life. Let's go look for some beautiful things today. Can I pray for you? Lord, we thank you for this time we're able to spend together today. And to the person across the street from me, I just pray that if they are feeling some of the same things that many others are feeling, that there's a lack of meaning, and there's it's hard to find excitement and inspiration to do anything substantial. We just pray that they would find it, and that you'll be revealing yourself to these people, to this person, very, very special person that you love very much. And we thank you for your creation. We thank you for nature. Thank you for the privilege of spending time in it. Thank you for your word that shows us how beautiful these things are. In your name we pray. Amen.